Oba! Dale cintura, 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 cintura. I will vote for Donald Trump.
This is hilarious.
Today in Trump's America, small town farms in Arkansas are begging for welfare. They can't sell their soybeans to China. Who knew that so many farmers were making $10,000 an acre from China? Who knew? But instead of pulling up their bootstraps, they're going for welfare. They're going for subsidies. They're going for American handouts. Just mere months after saying, we don't support welfare programs, cut Medicare, cut Medicaid, cut everything to these Pull up your bootstraps, Arkansas. Sell something Americans want to buy. Talk to your man Donnie Darko about the Department of War, because hell, they might be coming to your town soon. He might be bringing the National Guard to Arkansas and you won't have any farmland left anyway. Look, folks, Donnie Darko is destroying America, and if you can't see it, it's a part of the Heritage Foundation, Project 2025. Go look it up. It's a blueprint. Donnie Darko is following it to a T.
Arkansas farmers are taking their own lives. I mean, people are taking their lives. This is unbelievable. After Arkansas farmers voting for Trump overwhelmingly, now they are drowning in debt, cancelled contracts, and loss of their land families have worked for decades and generations of generations. This is unbelievable. But this is not the only thing. Now let me give you the icing on the cake. As bankruptcies rise, the strain goes beyond finances. It cuts into identity, pride, and community. Remember, these people don't believe in socialism and communism, but now they're asking for handouts. I think they believe that handouts, like people shouldn't be given handouts. Why? But right now they're asking the government for handouts, and this is unbelievable. For some, the weight of losing not just a farm, but a way of life has become unbearable. Imagine this has been in your family for over decades and decades, and now you have to let it go. You have to sell it out because you can't maintain it, you can't pay for it, and you're losing out. You've already made losses. They aren't exporting their tomatoes to Canada anymore because Canada has resorted to Mexico to get tomatoes, and many other countries have cut their trade with the US. Tell me what you think. What should American farmers do? What should Arkansas farmers do? Because right now they're in a very, very tight spot.
Quick question for the farmers in Arkansas who are begging for government handouts. Weren't you the crowd that wanted to take away benefits from hungry school kids? Weren't you guys cheering on the end of USAID? Were you guys happy about WIC going away? Because you didn't think that people should be receiving government handouts. You were all like, pull yourselves up by your bootstraps. But now you feel entitled to government handouts? So socialism for me and not for thee? Do you even know how hypocritical that sounds? There's a saying my grandmother taught me, and it definitely applies to farmers in Arkansas. You reap what you sow, and what you sowed was hate. And now you are losing everything. I'm not happy about that. My step-grandparents were farmers. I grew up visiting a dairy farm every week. I know farmers work hard, but I also know farmers tend to be very stuck in old-fashioned thinking. And it's time for you to wake up. That's what we mean when we say woke. Wake up and see how your hate is actually negatively impacting not just the lives of other innocent people, but you. Do I think the government is going to actually come through and give farmers a handout? Probably. But should you take it when you've already denied those kinds of help to innocent school kids, starving kids overseas? I don't think so.
On today's episode of FAFO, farmers are again asking for help.
This is not your ordinary farm crisis. We call it Farmageddon, and it really is tough time.
So you guys are calling it Farmageddon. Real estate investors are calling it Farmapalooza, as they can't wait for you to foreclose on your property and then come in and buy your property for pennies on the dollar. And the rest of us that didn't vote for this administration are calling it I told you so Chella. And let's hear what one of the farmers have to say about this.
Our bill collectors want money now. The chemicals, the seed companies, the fertilizer companies, they need it now. They don't want to hear, oh, I'm waiting on a farm bill payment that's going to come 2 years from now. They don't want to hear that.
Unless money comes now, it's projected up to 1/3 of Arkansas farmers could face bankruptcy or be forced to shutter their operations.
Now, I have a couple of suggestions that actually might help you in this situation. 1, pull yourself up by the bootstraps. 2, cut back on the avocado toast. 3, enjoy less Starbucks. 4, perhaps find a part-time job. And 5, cut back on your subscriptions like Netflix, Hulu. And it looks like all these farmers have a very similar solution as to what can fix their problems.
Haney hopes if the right person hears his message, it'll spark a positive outcome before it's too late.
77% of farmers voted for President Trump. And all we're asking for President Trump and this administration do is take care of the farm.
And by take care, they mean another government handout. Which is really weird and ironic because since 77% of you guys voted for this, you guys should be happy with what you got. Because of the policies and the executive orders that he enacted, you guys are suddenly freaking out even though this is what you voted for, but for some reason you guys aren't putting the blame on him. Because you guys are always, socialism is bad until you guys need it, and then you're like, no, it's good for me, but not for you. And the really, really ironic part is that they need help now, but in that big, beautiful bill that was signed, they're actually going to get help at the end of 2026. So I would suggest that you guys properly try to manage your money until the end of 2026 instead of asking for help now. But drop a comment and let me know what you think about the situation. And if you enjoyed this video, give me a like, share, follow, and repost, and I'll also be posting this onto my YouTube shorts.
Numbers came in, right? And only 22,000 jobs were added. And we all know Syphilitic Sid has said that maybe there won't be any numbers for at least 2, maybe 3 years until we can, get the numbers right, whatever that means. But that's not what I'm here to talk about. Did y'all see them farmers in Arkansas who are now begging Syphilitic Sid to help them? They are asking for a bailout. And I don't understand if they don't understand that a bailout is basically welfare for farmers. Now, mind you, I got no issues with farmers, right? Because without them, we wouldn't have, cabbages, broccoli, whatever, vegetables, right? Right, green beans, vegetables, tomatoes, whatever. But the fact that these people all voted overwhelmingly for Syphilitic Sid, now they're asking him to bail them out. And you know what he said? We're going to have to see how it goes. Because, there are more important issues. Like that $200 million ballroom.
Arkansas farmers are publicly having their fuck around and find out moment. About 1/4 to 1/3 farms are said to go bankrupt within the next year. And while I never wish harm or bad things upon people, good, honest people, we do need accountability. And this is just the beginning of it. Also, I just want to say, it shows how fucking weak they are, because they're offing themselves too. They want to act all big and bad all the time. They were just privileged. You get a little ounce of trouble, you're taking your own life. God damn, waiting on the government for your funds, counting on them, thinking they're gonna save you? Well, guess what? This was in the plan, because now all the farmlands are being sold on Acre Trader to Big Corp. And not these are family-owned farms that have been passed down for generations that are going to have to fight, that are going away. And they just gave their power to the 1%. to cause more harm to us, because the animals that they raise, the farms that they set up, are not good for us. They're not treating the animals correctly. They don't care about the fucking cycles of the universe or the laws of the fucking universe. They don't care, because they're parasites and they're here to suck you dry until there's nothing left.
Guess who just got the tea about what's going over on MAGA sides, specifically with the farmers in Arkansas? Child, them Trump tariffs is kicking their asses so bad that at the most recent NEA meeting, representative assembly that took place on Friday, the farmers in Arkansas all collectively broke down in prayer. They started calling on to God. They started calling on to God because they cannot trust that Donald Trump is actually going to keep his word. See, the big beautiful bill, which a lot of these Arkansas farmers voted for, and the Trump administration is currently renaming because it did not accurately describe what was in the bill, promised a lot of the people in the agriculture industry benefits that a lot of these businesses will not live to see as they all take effect in 2026, 2027. Late 2026 and early 2027 to be exact. But like I stated, a lot of those businesses will not be around long enough to see it come into fruition. Apparently around that time, a quarter of the farming industry in Arkansas will be out of business. And you already know that I always come with the evidence. I always have the clip. So stay tuned for the clip provided by ABC7.
The government steps in to save them. Farmers had no one to turn to but God. It's only they're closer today than anyone else on this earth, because we deal with your earth every day. You know, we're hurting anymore. We can't deal with what's happened to us.
Dear Lord, we are hurting here, Lord. We can't help what has happened to us. You actually could have helped it because you could have voted against it. Y'all could have voted for Kamala, but like you stated, she has a weird laugh. And here's a screenshot of the article. You can go and find it. Let's read along to the title. People have little sympathy for the Arkansas farmers who are asking Trump for emergency funding to save their farms. And because they can't trust on Trump to actually come through with these emergency funds, they started praying. I probably should have highlighted what I'm about to read, but it's in quotations at the top. It says, "I have never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on." Welcome to the mentality of the average Black American here. Welcome to the mentality of the average Hispanic Latino person here. Welcome to the mentality of the average marginalized group member here in America. And to think that all of this could have been avoided, had you just listened to those same marginalized groups. If you would have just listened to the Black Americans here in this country, to the 92%, if you would have just listened. And now, ironically, the same tool that you used to oppress the marginalized groups in this country, the Black Americans in this country, the formerly enslaved people of America, religion, Christianity, prayer, is now the only tool that you can rely on, because you can't trust in your government to look out for you. You can't trust in your government to help you. How fucking ironic. And just a reminder, because I know y'all like to forget, right? Anytime, historically speaking, by the way, the Black Americans of this country stated that they needed help, they wanted to be treated fairly, they wanted equality, you told them to pray harder. You sent them to church. You told them to pray harder. That if it's really meant for them, all they had to do was pray harder and God was going to hear them. So that's my advice to you, you farmers in Arkansas. Pray harder, okay? Just keep praying. However, I do have a strong inkling that we are not praying to the same gods. I know the God that I pray to. There's only one. I don't know what you're praying to, but pray harder, okay? God bless America.
A follower of mine, a rice farmer, just asked me to do a short message on the farming in eastern Arkansas, the rice. Well, all over, I'm sure. I never farmed rice. I used to do soybeans here at Quitman. I was raised on a farm, but I kind of got out of the loop. I got out of it when I was 21, 22. Hard work. That's too hard for me. But no, I regret. I wish I'd have kept my farm, my cattle and everything. And thank you, farmers, for feeding the world, Arkansas, and all over the nation. But this is for the farmer in eastern Arkansas. I'll take his word for it. Rice price is still down. Y'all don't follow this a lot on this platform. I can't flat out tell you who's doing it, but it's not who you think it is. Yes, they are manipulating, but it's not the, guys, it's not, you awake people know, but I'll get the video taken down if I tell you. It's not those who you think are good or bad, those who you think bad or good. The military's in full control. So everything that happens, everything, no exceptions, except maybe a few low-level crimes, but everything is not happening. They've used 200,000 acres in CGI. How many times, what did Trump tell you about the news? Tell a vision. Tell a lie vision. Programming. Channeling. Holly is a witch's wood. Hollywood. You are under a spell if you are still believing that TV, even though a lot of truth's coming out now. The military has been in full control 10 years. And these people you see on TV, the elites and everything, it's not them. They're already gone. The YMCA, Gitmo started as a YMCA. I'm trying to think how I can say this without this getting taken down. It's the military doing these up and downs. All the people in D.C. are, no, let's not say that. It's not what you think, guys. I'm sorry. See, y'all that don't know code get mad at me. Well, why don't you just say it? Well, this video would be taken down like that, and it still might. I'm sorry about the prices, but Lucy's getting jealous. But guys, there's nothing we can do about it. I told everybody if we didn't throw a fit in 2024 and tell the military to stop this kabuki theater, it would go on forever. And here we are a year later. I don't know. I hope it ends. But they have got us so disorganized and divided right now. They're going to use this kabuki theater as long as they want. And this won't quit until they do. Trump, I can't even say what that stands for. The real Trump left us in 89. Trump, true, and then after that I can't say. It stands for 4 more words. And it means military is controlling this. I'm sorry about it. Everything's going to go down. There's nothing we can do. But guys, if you ain't woke up by now, this is a mission. And I don't know why. They have done a terrible job waking people up. And they've took it too far. And I don't know why they've done it. But it's a mission. What did he say? Trump's main goal at his speech in 2017. The main goal of my administration is into the horrific practice of trafficking. They need to get it over with and show what's happened. That's all I can tell you. That's the best I could do, sir. Because I could have got this over with in 30 seconds if this platform would let me tell you the truth. Later.
We'll lose 25 or 30% of the farmers in this country if they don't do something. It has to be done, and it's not just here. It's everywhere.
Farmers are making a cry for help before it's too late. Countless farmers gathered to speak to representatives of Arkansas leaders to share the urgency that something needs to be done about the current state of farming. Jake Tester was at the meeting and now joins us in the studio with more. Jake.
Many farmers spoke up at the meeting, and the message was straightforward. They need help, and they need it now.
Mr. Trump, he looked at me, sir. He said, I love you. Mr. Trump, I need to see the fruit of your love.
Farmers in crisis align way out the door of the Woods Chapel Baptist Church in Brooklyn as hundreds of farmers from not only northeast Arkansas, but from across the state came to voice their concerns about the current state of farming. Representatives from U.S. Congressman Rick Crawford, U.S. Senator Tom Cotton, and U.S. Senator John Boozman's offices were in attendance to hear those concerns. Among those farmers in attendance was a farmer in Woodruff County, Chris King. He told me this was his 39th harvest, and he has never seen it as bad as this.
And I've never been as worried as I am now about whether or not my kids and grandkids will be able to carry on.
For King, the main problem starts with the fact that they can't sell for profit.
I just would like to see somebody help us get our markets back. We need our exports, and we just need to be paid for what we do. And that's not happening. And we're in real trouble.
But that is not the only issue. King's wife, Melissa King, and farmer in Biggers, Arkansas, Scott Brown, said they are struggling to afford the cost that is needed just to take care of the farm.
The prices that we're getting now are prices like they were when we were children, and what it costs for us to farm is astronomical now. I mean, the price of a combine when we were kids was, in the 20,000s, and now it's 100,000.
I farm 800 acres by myself. I can't afford any help. I farm with paid for equipment. All my tractors are 50 years old, and I can't hardly make this deal work. How's the guys farming 5 and 10,000 with 20 hands and $1 million combines and $1 million drills going to make it work?
But for Brown, there's something that rounds out all the issues that they are facing: the tariffs.
I think the tariffs are the ice cream on the cake of a perfect storm. When you try to sell a product, okay, U.S. soybeans leaving New Orleans without the tariff to China are cheaper than Brazilian soybeans at the current market. But when you put the tariff on top of them, Brazilian beans are cheaper.
So how can this be fixed?
In the short term, they have no choice but to mail us a check. I don't know a farmer that likes the check program. Nobody wants to take taxpayer dollars, and nobody wants to go broke. Nobody wants to lose everything. Long term, we have to have options, markets, and places to sell our product.
Now those representatives in attendance will be taking these concerns they heard to Washington, D.C. to share with the government leaders so they can try and find a way to solve this problem before it's too late. Reporting in the studio, Jake Tester, K8.
Look, I understand not every farmer voted for Donald Trump, but massively the farmers came out to support Donald Trump. And look, they are getting exactly what they voted for. Of course they are. But how do you not understand that your business, your family farm that's been in your family for generations, is reliant on a global supply chain to keep you prosperous? I mean, we can go into the domestic problems where Donald Trump and Elon Musk decided it was fun to starve school children, so they cut off all the programs there. And that caused, obviously, economic ripples for the farmers because they weren't able to sell very much domestically anymore. But you must understand. God, this drives me nuts. You must fucking understand that you are dealing with your product on a global economy. Yet you get a bunch of people, a bunch of very ill-informed Americans that start cheering for the tariffs because somehow that's really going to stick it to the man. And we have to really think about what's going on here, my friends. Because of all of Donald Trump's trade wars, China mostly, but probably other countries, have stopped buying America's corn and soybeans, right? Does this strike anyone else as fucking odd? You start a fucking trade war and your leverage and saying, that's how I'm going to put you in your place. These two plants that I grow over here. Do you know where these plants come from, my friends? A lot of other countries, or every other country on this planet has. They also have. So the idea that we were going to manhandle and push around other countries because we have access to dirt to grow products and we use that as our leverage to put them in their fucking place doesn't even make a bit of sense now, does it? Does it? America does not have this is how people thought they were going to put China in its place, or Canada in its place, or Mexico, or any number of countries out there. Is we're going to show you, and then all these countries can like grow corn and soybean also, or they can establish trade partners with countries that can grow corn and soybean I'll begin with. You see that? They were coming to us because we had the product. Now we wanted to fucking leverage that product and we got our asses handed to us in the fucking process. Now, didn't we? And that to me, my friends, is absolutely the most shocking thing that I have ever seen. A bunch of knuckleheads running around this country that have no idea that their jobs, their livelihoods, their business is dependent on a global economy. Now that that is all crashing down, and the facts are on my side because that is absolutely true. All right. We saw the actual official job numbers come out today where the United States gained, it was something like 22,000 jobs. And then it was June or July.
I know a lot of shit has happened already. Charlie Kirk got assassinated. Jimmy Kimmel's getting fired. We had like 250 U.S. representatives in Israel, of course. But I need you guys to lock in with me because Arkansas farmers are about to get fucked over. Their farms are about to get scraped up. This administration is trying to bring back sharecropping and the lords and serfs type deal. So My video that I'm about to show you will explain all of it. I need you to share this around. This is literally what's going to happen. This is what they wait for. They wait until your farm is at a deficit, the export market is at a shortage. Like, Arkansas farmers, just in the first quarter of 2025, there has been more bankruptcy filings than all of 2024. This is what they want. This is what this administration wants. So lock in, listen up. This is what they're about to do. I gotta keep bringing this up until more people are talking about it. Bear with me. I need you guys to look into Naria Capital that was co-founded by JD Vance, okay? And then look at their connection with Acre Trader, a company startup that they invested in that they skim farmland off of generational farmers. They then create an LLC under that farmland, a limited liability company, so that it mitigates risk to outside assets in case of any legal dispute or action. They then create an REIT fund that allows outside investors to then dump money into that fund and leverage the amount of profit that they're making here. Because not only are they going to be making money off of the farm product, they're going to be making money off of a farm tenant that has to run that farm and pay rent. And then they're going to be making money off of that land value, okay? It is also the best hedge against the stock market in their big-ass portfolios because the stock market does not correlate with the farm market. And they're probably going to get ginormous tax exemptions from that LLC. This is why Donald Trump will not talk about the avian flu breakouts and all these disease rampant through these chicken farms and, farmland, because he knows that they're probably going to go bankrupt and they're not going to be able to sustain their business. They come through, buy it for a penny on the dollar, attract angel investors from outside countries, leverage the amount of profit they're making. There we are. So I don't know why that clip is so laggy, but if you know who Peter Thiel is and you've seen any of my other Peter Thiel videos, you know that motherfucker is evil as shit, and he is literally going to be the end of humanity if he gets the control that he is looking for. This dude literally bought and paid for JD Vance's entire career from the beginning of it. He pulled him from Mithril Capital. Mithril Capital is a capital fund that Peter Thiel co-founded and owned. So JD Vance, that worked for the company that he co-founded and owned, he pulled him from Mithril Capital, bought him all the way up to where he is now. So, watch out for Peter Thiel, JD Vance, all the motherfuckers. They're all slimy. They're all fucking D-bags.
There's been a lot of conversation about farmers, but no one has explained to you, farmers, how Trump's demise for you really plays out. You always thought Trump was your friend. He was your ally. Told you a long time ago, Trump has no friends, no allies, not even you, MAGA. Oh, he may despise people that look like me, the black and the brown, the minorities, but trust me, he has no love for you either. And I'll explain to you essentially the 4 phases of your demise and its connection to Project 2025. Oh, you thought it was just for people that look like me. No. You didn't know that Project 2025 included you. Yes, you farmers as well. Yes, farmers of Arkansas and farmers of other states. Yeah, let me explain to you how that happens. Phase 1 was pretty easy for him, to get your vote, unconditional support. That was the easy one right there. You gave it up, no problems at all. No conditions, no standards, no nothing. You gave the vote to him without even for him having to ask for your vote during the campaign. So the first one was a freebie, to get the vote from you. Phase 2 was to start a tariff war. See, the reason behind the tariff war was to get the other countries to retaliate by stripping you of your markets. Soybeans, pork, and dairy have been shifted largely to South America and European countries. See? You took away your markets. Yes, that was all intentional. Oh, it had a lot of other stuff in there. But for you farmers, that was the plan, to strip you of your markets. So now you have no customers. Phase 3, knock out your finances. The huge subsidies you've been getting, right? Upwards of 50%. Yeah, for years and years, you've been getting huge subsidies. All that farm equipment you got, big tractors and all that stuff. Yeah, knock out your finances that supported your farm. So now you can't sustain yourself. You can't. You're heavily leveraged in debt now. But he's not done, right? Now someone is going to come along to get you to sell. See, you're desperate, right? And they know you're desperate. So now the next thing is, we can get you out of this by having to sell. What do you think he was doing in those meetings in the White House with all those big corporations? They were paying him to demise of you. They were paying him to make sure your business was ending. Yes. That was part of the project behind the scenes. They wasn't advertising that, but that was what they were doing to you. Oh, they had a plan for all of us, you farmers included. So now they got you in a position to sell because you're desperate, right? So now they'll sell your farm for the bargain-based price. Sell off all your equipment and other things on your farm, your livestock, all of that, sell it off to get out of debt, you see. That's how it works. So now you got to sell. Then they buy up the land from you. And now they've got all your property and the land to go with it, all your equipment. And then they'll develop what they want to do from there. But the plan was always to knock you out of the equation, farmers. You thought you were special. That's why he's not helping you. He already has an alliance with the corporations. They talked about this at the White House already. They didn't tell you that. But that was the 4 phases right there. Get your vote, enact the tariff war to knock out your market, and that has succeeded in the way of soybeans, pork, and dairy. South America and Europe has now taken over those. Then the next thing was going to knock out your finances, right? So now your money's gone, so now you're desperate. And now the 4th phase is now getting you to sell. Be careful in digging a ditch for others. You may be digging one for yourselves.
So Ed, when you said that, it reminded me of the story of these Arkansas farmers that are pleading with the U.S. government to save them, because China's not buying any soy, yes. China's not buying corn. And, this is probably unrelated, but I saw something that said the 400 richest people in the U.S. are now worth a record $6.6 trillion after getting 1.2 trillion richer over the past year. It'll trickle down any day now. So
any day. Those farmers are waiting. It's coming.
Arkansas farmers are taking their own lives because of what's happening to their farms because of Trump's policies. And it's only going to get worse for farmers because this is all laid out in Project 2025. So in Project 2025, the plan is to roll back all of the protections that farmers currently have access to. Basically, there's different programs. There's crop insurance. There's these commodities programs. And most of these are either subsidized or paid for by the government. So farmers, if a small farm gets hit with, a weather disaster or something else happens where they can't profit off their crop like they usually do, they're backed up. They're safe. They can, float for another year because of these programs. They want to get rid of these programs. They want to take the burden of these programs off the government and put it back onto the farmers, meaning these small farms get hit with one disaster and they're fucked. They're done. Guess who won't be done, though, if they get hit with one disaster? Giant mega corporations, these huge corporate farms that have all the capital they need to float if they get hit with a disaster. They're not going to go under. What they're going to do is buy up all these little farms and consolidate them into these giant mega farms. That's what the plan is. And I know it's easy to be like, oh, fuck these farmers. They voted for this. This is what they get. But this isn't good for any of us if this happens. I know the FAFO is delightful, but it isn't good for any of us. And it's scary. These are the people that feed us, that provide our food, and we need them. And it's horrifying to see what they're trying to do to them.
I found out a couple days ago that JD Vance invested early in something called Acre Traders. And guess who benefits when that company who takes over distressed farming properties? Guess who benefits when that happens? JD Vance. So when you think about big, beautiful bills that you were for, when you think about who you voted for, and you think, I was voting for my own self-interest, the thing that you're like, where's my empathy? We need the handout. I agree that you should have support. 1,000%. I actually agree for subsidies. I think you provide an incredibly valuable commodity and necessity for the country. I absolutely do. But the thing is, you voted against your own self-interest. You said that your socialism is the only socialism that matters because you prioritized yourself over the welfare and the well-being of everybody else. You said, I want to be misogynistic, patriarchal, and racist. And you said, I want the world to look like me, and I want to be supported by the system. Well, guess who's in this system? A bunch of people who don't look like you. And what you've done is you have been part of the dismantling of the system that actually supported you. So until you're willing to say, I made that kind of mistake, I don't think you're going to see a lot of empathy. Now, even then, there are some people where you have harmed them so much that I don't know that you'll get empathy from them, but you'll get it from me. And my grandfather was a farmer for 40 years. And I have extreme empathy. I have extreme appreciation for who you are and what you do. But I also know for myself, as I've been deconstructing and learning and unprogramming, one of the biggest moments for me was to be willing to take ownership of the places that I had been racist unintentionally, that my conservatism was not only problematic, but harmful to a lot of people. That was a hard pill to swallow because my intention had been justice and goodness and equitability. That has been my intention. But because I also chose the belief over what was actually happening or what I was willing to allow in my sphere to influence me, I didn't know. I wasn't exposed to it. I didn't allow myself. I sheltered myself from it. So I don't know how you're going to say. I don't know if you'll save it. I don't know that you'll save your farm. I feel for you because it feels like, and actually, we have to turn the country in a different direction. Democratic socialism would afford you the opportunity to be valued and honored and have the subsidies that you need to run your farm. I don't know if you'll lose it before then, though. Should you be able to maintain it before that happens? Voting and supporting and outwardly speaking out against who's causing you harm will go a long way in helping repair the damage with the people who are part of the population who would fund you. Just something to think about.
Arkansas farmers, this is for you. If you don't want to lose your daddies and your granddaddies and your daddy's farms, then you better pressure your legislators to impeach Trump, because they're going to let your farms foreclose, and then Trump and J.D. Vance and their greedy corporate private equity buddies are going to swoop up your long-standing family farms for pennies on the fucking dollar and sell them to the highest bidder, probably in a foreign country. Way to go, America. We can do this. We can do better. You can do better. But it takes Republicans to pressure the Republicans to save us. That's you too.
For everyone asking, why is Disney being canceled? Why is Disney being boycotted? Alyssa answered that question in one of my comments. And why we are boycotting, why we are canceling Disney is for our First Amendment, the freedom of speech. If you want to join the movement and boycott Disney, like I said, it's not just to do it for no reason. We're doing it because our First Amendment is being silenced, is being removed, it's being censored. And if you want to join the boycott and have your voice heard, join it. If you don't want to join it and whatever, then you don't have to. That's fine. But the collective is doing it. And yeah, it's doing something.
Not Arkansas farmers asking for handouts. Arkansas farmers met with government officials last week to ask for government subsidies or some type of subsidy payment to help them because they were losing their farms. These are the pull them up by your bootstrap people. And before you feel sorry for them, they voted for bone spurs by 78% in the 2024 election. This was up almost 50% from the 2020 and 2016 election. They almost lost their farms after 2016 when he was elected the first time, and they had to bail out the farmers because they then asked for handouts as well. Then they vote again for bone spurs in 2024. They vote for the same guy in 2024 that made them almost lose their farms between 2017 and 2021. Same guy. They vote for that same guy who created a soybean and corn crisis because of his tariffs on China. Same guy. They voted for him in exponentially higher numbers in 2024. And now they're asking for handouts again because of tariffs. And these are the pull them up by your bootstrap people when it comes to poor urban neighborhoods. These are the go back to your own country people, even though they employ those same exact people for way less than minimum wage. These are the people who are just fine with taking away the rights and subsidies away from other communities as long as you don't touch them. And the reason why I think that 78% number is so diabolical is because of what Joe Biden did when he was in office. Joe Biden invested $3 billion into 135 five-year projects that would financially incentivize farmers to implement climate-smart projects and practices. Within the Inflation Reduction Act that was passed under Joe Biden, $19.5 billion was invested to support conservation practices with farmers. 28,622 contracts were awarded to farmers under that act, and those contracts were terminated by the Bone Spurs administration. The Inflation Reduction Act also supported the Empowering Rural America program, which was the largest investment in the rural electric system since Roosevelt in 1936, investing $9.7 billion across 24 states for this program. And people ask where the money was spent. $3 billion to make 9,901 improvements to renewable energy systems to make them more efficient for farmers and less costly, bringing down their overhead costs so they can keep more money in their pocket. $29.2 billion into research and innovation for farmers and agriculture in general. $300 million to help farmers to transition into organic production. $85 million for farmers to enhance their processing capacity, as well as promote domestic organic products. $262.5 million to higher education for people in the agriculture field. $2 billion to farmers who felt like they were discriminated against when they tried to get loans from the USDA. $1.4 billion to help smaller facilities expand. $336 million in grants for meat and poultry expansions. $420 million to enhance local and regional supply chains. $1.3 billion in local food purchasing agreements. $800 million for state governments to purchase unprocessed food from local farmers to feed to the children at school. Biden's Emergency Food Assistance Program purchased $2.5 billion worth of locally grown food for food banks. By the way, all of this has been cut, and I'm not done. $100 million in grants to 42 states to expand their emergency food assistance programs in underserved areas. $4 million per year to the Farm to Food Bank program, which helped not only to get more unprocessed food to people who need it, but it also helped create business for local farms. Like I just said, all of these programs have been done away with. So not only are the farmers now feeling it because of these tariffs, the same tariffs that crippled them during Bone Spurs' first term and his first trade war, they're also not getting the subsidies and benefits of the programs that Biden had put in place for them during his term. And 78% of the Arkansas farmers looked at all of those things that I just listed that they got from Joe Biden and Kamala Harris was going to continue doing. They looked at Bone Spurs with his 34 felony counts and his 4 indictments. And they looked at the black woman who would keep Biden's policies going, the same policies that were pulling them up, the same policies that were slowly but surely pulling them out of the red. And they said, I'll go with the felon. How did you not expect to get robbed?
So I know this is probably going to sound mean, but am I the only one who doesn't give a fuck about the farmers? I genuinely don't give a fuck. And here's the thing, here's the reason. I can't do anything about it. I'm sorry, I can't. You could have done something about it. You could have done a lot of things about it. But you didn't. So, what do you want me to do now? You being like, oh, I'm losing my farm, I'm filing for bankruptcy. I'm like, girl, I'm on the verge too, most of America is. There was another option, if only there was another option. And there was, and you chose not to go with that, and that is your choice. The great thing about living in America is everyone has a choice, but the thing about having a choice is that you have to live with it, honey.
Thank you for watching Great Minds Blacks.